Hello, everybody. Today we're talking about ionizers. I'm Jake Sina, Vice President of Sales. This is my esteemed colleague, Marty McFly, in the orange vest. Tell me, Marty, will these take us back to the future?
In an instant. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Jake. My name is Kevin Boudreau, and I am the Director of Business Development for Ion Clean Air and National Flooring Equipment.
Perfect. So what do these do, Kevin?
Okay.
What do ionizers do?
We've got a lot of people on the line today, and we've got a lot of people who are concerned about silicosis on job sites in the surface preparation world. And we have this little virus floating around the world right now known as COVID-19. So in addition to air quality concerns on the job site, in conjunction with surface preparation equipment usage, we have a global pandemic and everyone's concerned about COVID-19. So these ionizers drive really, really fine particles and really, really fine viral pathogens out of the breathable air and down to the ground. And once they're on the ground, we rain millions of ions upon them, destroying the viral pathogens like SARS-CoV-2, which causes COVID-19 in human beings, basically to be destroyed at the DNA level.
So these solve a lot of problems.
A tremendous amount of problems. These fine pieces of equipment repurpose decades-old technology to bring really, really fine particles out of the air. So everything from very, very fine concrete dust to viral pathogens. So when you want to have really, really clean air, whether it's in your home, in your business, at your church, your place of worship, you want to have clean air. And these machines do a really, really good job of making sure that everything that's not supposed to be in the air is brought down to the ground.
That's awesome, Kevin. Now, I see two kind of different stickers here. I see Ion Clean Air and National Flooring Equipment. Tell me about that.
Sure.
What's that all about?
We have two brands to match our two different target audiences. So we brought these ionizers into our product lineup about 2 years ago. In 2018, the major concern on job sites was silicosis. We had a lot of regulatory enforcement and new bylaws and new safety procedures introduced to us thanks to OSHA. And they were going around to job sites and making sure that we had the appropriate dust collection systems and making sure that all of the grinders and shop blasters were paired with an appropriate dust collector.
Sure.
And for everything that couldn't get trapped into the dust collection system, that ambient dust or that concrete dust that comes out from the bottom of the blaster or grinder, that was lingering on the job site. And the funny thing, well, not the funny thing, the really terrible thing about silica dust is that once it's in your lungs, it stays in there forever.
Yeah, I've heard some nasty stories about that. That's. Ooh.
So we wanted to we wanted to promote clean air, especially in the face of growing silicosis concerns. So we brought on the Ion 1K and the Ion 4K, and these were targeted originally to bring concrete dust out of the air for rooms of 1,000 square feet. Hence Ion 1K. A little trick there.
Oh, that's what that is.
A little handy. Guide, and then the Ion 4K, which would bring concrete dust out of the air in rooms of about 4,000 square feet. But with the onset of COVID-19, it really made sense for us to support this product with two different brands. So we have the National Flooring Equipment ionizers, which do the same thing as the Ion Clean Air ionizers, but they're targeted for two different audiences. So with the National Flooring Equipment ionizers, we'd like to see these ionizers on job sites where there's a lot of concrete dust, a lot of grinding, a lot of shop blasting. And if you see these if you see one of these units on a job site, the air is going to be really, really clean. Additionally, the Ion Clean Air brand, this is something that would target small and medium-sized facilities. So schools, houses of worship, office buildings, retail, restaurants. If you see a unit in one of those places, you know that you're breathing clean air, free of viral pathogens, contaminants, pollen, a number of other undesirable things to breathe in. So the two brands support our two target markets, one being surface preparation equipment / contractors, and the other being small and medium-sized commercial facilities.
Awesome. So how do you know? I mean, how do you know it works? Right. That's a really broad question, but how do you know? Like you said, what did you say? It kills viruses like COVID. How do you know that that's working?
So let's look at the history of ionizers, right? So in the 1940s, ionizers were used in printing presses. You can imagine in the 1940s, World War II is the biggest concern. Everybody wants to know what's going on. And we're pre-internet then, so you got to read the paper.
That was before Google.
Before Google, imagine
Amazing.
that.
That's a long time ago.
So everybody's reading the newspaper. They want to find out what's the latest going on in the war, what's the latest state of the globe, right? So in order to get newspapers out to the people quicker, printing presses incorporated ionizers into the printing press.
That's incredible.
So that the ink was set on the paper faster, no smudge, no smear. Good fine ink. And we were able to distribute more pamphlets, more information, and let everybody know what the state of the world is. The concept was the same. We want to have the ink rest on the paper quicker. So what's happening is a little phenomenon known as agglomeration. Say
it again.
Agglomeration.
Agglomeration. Anybody that can spell that gets a discount too, by the way,
yeah.
today only. So you can put that in the comments. We'll reach out.
A little spelling bee in the comment section. I love it. Can you use agglomeration in a sentence? Yes, I can. Agglomeration is basically the result of positive and negative ions introducing themselves to the molecules in the air. So the molecules in the air pick up a positive or negative charge. And if you're a positive guy, you're going to seek out a negative guy, and you're going to become neutral. And through that agglomeration, which is the combination of oppositely charged particles, they become heavier than the air.
Yeah.
They clump up, they aggregate, they agglomerate, they get heavier than the air, they fall down to the ground.
Yeah.
So that same concept that was used in those 1940s printing presses is the same technology that's used in here. Instead, we have a way more robust system. We are emitting millions of ions per second. So we are introducing so much polar charge to all the molecules in the air. There's no more floating concrete dust. There's no more floating COVID-19. They've agglomerated, they've become heavier than the air, and they've been driven down to the ground.
That's incredible to think, going from a printing press to where we have these today. So it's incredible. I've heard you say in previous meetings, pops the virus like a balloon?
Yes. So
talk to us about that.
Once the agglomeration phenomenon has taken place and we've driven all the bad stuff in the air down to the ground, the ionizer continues to emit millions of ions per second. Yep. So once these bad things are down to the ground, that SARS-CoV-2 virus is down on the ground, millions more ions rain upon those pathogens per second. And those positive and negative ions, they penetrate the protein membrane of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, penetrates the protein membrane, and renders the virus incapable of further infection. So basically, we've killed it. You can't. Once that protein membrane has been popped, you can rest assured that nobody is getting sick from that specific pathogen.
It's incredible.
It's we like to say it's lightning in a bottle. So
what do you mean?
These ionizers recreate naturally occurring phenomenon. And what I mean by that is, if you were to think about when does a lot of electricity get introduced to your environment? Well, after a lightning storm, right?
Yeah, you're right.
When the lightning's striking, there's your hair gets raised, the hair on your neck gets raised. That's all a result of electricity, which is really just a bunch of billions and trillions of positive and negative ions being emitted into the atmosphere. So when a lightning storm happens, some people say, I like the smell of rain. Yeah. But really what they're saying is, I love the smell of clean air.
So that's what that was. I put one of these in my house, turn it on in about the first 30 minutes or so. It felt like it was getting a little cooler in the room, but it had that kind of after storm fresh feel to it. That's what was going on.
The ionizer, when you actually use it in your home or on your job site, there's a lot of great benefits. Just to talk a little bit how the machine works is, we have a box here. There's a filter on the other side here. The ionizer pulls in air, cleans the air, passes it over the ionic rods, and then emits millions of ions per second thanks to the power of two sizes of industrial fan motors. So when you're experiencing that cool air in the room, it's because of the air turnover. We are ventilating and creating more air movement in your home or in your office or on the job site than your HVAC or air-conditioned central AC unit can do by itself. We're turning over so much air that it's actually benefiting the air conditioning unit. We're moving so much air that 65-degree air is meeting that 75-degree air, and we're turning it over to create a cooler more uniform temperature throughout the air. But really, the industrial fan motor will emit millions of ions per second, creating a lot of air movement, air turnover, and when you use it, it has a lot of practical purposes. One of my coworkers likes to microwave fish on his lunch break. So we turn the ionizer right onto his desk.
It's salmon too, yeah, it's atrocious.
No lie. So we point the ionizer right at Tom Griffin for about 8 to 10 minutes, and we can eliminate the smell of microwave fish.
Yeah.
So really,
You're joking, but it is true. We've even gone so far as to ask him what he's bringing in for lunch that day, so we can pre-ionize a half hour ahead of time, and it cuts the smell even quicker.
yeah. If just to illustrate the powers of the ionizer, with a machine that claims it can kill corona and it can drive concrete dust out of the air, rest assured it's going to be able to eliminate the smell of microwave fish at lunchtime in your office as well. The same principles
That's
are
welcomed everywhere, I think.
Yeah. Lunchrooms across the United States should have an ionizer just for that one friend who likes to microwave his leftover salmon and tilapia. So really what's happening is those positive and negative ions are being emitted from the ionizer. We're creating polarity for all the molecules that are in the air. Those positive molecules will seek out the negative molecules. They'll agglomerate. They'll fall to the ground. And then that's when the sterilization process takes place, when the millions of ions fall on the viral pathogens.
That's crazy.
So the same thing that's at play after a lightning storm, or whether we're looking to target to bring concrete dust out of the air, or looking to bring COVID-19 out of the air and down to the ground, and then sterilize it there. The same principles are at play. Is the only thing that should be in the air is oxygen molecules, carbon dioxide molecules, nitrogen molecules. Everything else should be driven down to the ground. With COVID-19 in place, everyone doing quarantining and really not getting back to their normal way of life. Clean air is of utmost importance on the job site, in your home, at work.
Cool.
It's good for your lungs.
Like that. A couple things I've heard. So there's ionizers out there that produce ozone. We also have a coworker, after renting a car for several days and smoking, sprays a lot of osium.
Yes.
In the car. So there are some ionizers that emit that same kind of ozone?
Yes.
But not ours.
Correct.
Okay.
So let's see here. Our ionizers operate at 4,000 volts. So we're converting 115 electrical outlet energy. Your typical 115 volt outlet. It's in your your home, your garage, everywhere you look, you're going to find a 115 volt outlet. So these units convert that 115 volt electricity into 4,000 volts, and from that 4,000 volt, we're emitting millions of positive and negative ions.
So what about people outside of the U.S.? We got people from all over the world joining us today. If they don't have the, what was it, 115?
115 volt, yeah. We've got a transformer that is cooperative. It is
cool.
applicable. What's the word I'm looking for?
It can work anywhere.
It can work anywhere, yeah.
All right, good.
We can operate in 115 volt settings.
No,
as
but
well
seriously,
as 220 volt. Yes.
we've sold these in Australia, Mexico, Japan, Canada. Where else?
Yes, but your concern is ozone.
Holland. Yeah, my concern is ozone. Let's get back to the point. Yes.
So ozone is created once a voltage reaches 4,700. So we've got a regulator on here to make sure that we never really go above that 4,000 volts.
Okay.
Because once that 4,700 voltage mark is met, ozone is created. Now, some machines are designed to operate at 8,000 volts, and they produce ozone on purpose because ozone is eliminating a more toxic chemical or element in the air. Mm-hmm. So ozone is created intentionally, knowing that it's bad, because it's taking care of something that's even more toxic, in an industrial setting. So rest assured, these machines do not create ozone.
Yeah.
They just create the naturally occurring bipolar ionization effect that Mother Nature already produces.
Yeah, a lot of people that I've talked to really around the world have been concerned about their pets and their little ones crawling around the floor, and ozone has come up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's really good to know that our machines are more effective than an ozone-producing machine and a lot safer.
We have to work with special electrical engineers because these machines operate at such a high voltage. So we've worked with the best. We've put the proper regulators in place, and these machines are going to be really, really safe for your family, for your workplace, for your church, really anywhere you congregate inside.
So what's up with the filter on the back? So this cleans the air before it pushes ions out, or is that just there to help the internal components? Is this an air scrubber? What's going on?
So the most important thing is to protect the internal componentry.
Okay.
Because what we're doing is we're creating millions of ions per second, and we want to protect that. It's not exactly sensitive, but we want to keep it in place. We want to protect the integrity of the ion generation system. So really, we've got 3 filters on this machine. We've got 2 pre-filters.
Okay.
And then we have one F9 filter that protects the internal componentry. But unlike an air scrubber is trying to catch all the contaminants and all the bad things on a job site and trap it inside the box. The Air Ionizers take a different approach. We want everything inside the box to create clean air outside of the box. We want to create clean air inside the room in which this box operates, as opposed to getting all the dirty air in the room trapped inside this box. We blast out millions of ions per second. We make all the bad stuff fall to the ground, and then we start killing it from there.
So I've heard horror stories about air scrubbers, because the HEPA filter, it traps a lot of things, but it actually can circulate viruses and harmful things in the air that don't get trapped in that filter at a higher rate. Is that true?
Yes.
And then how do our machines address that?
So HEPA filters are great as long as you're dealing with bad stuff that measures larger than 0.3 microns, right? So if it's smaller than 0.3 microns, and that's like mold, bacteria,
Thanks
germs,
for the examples. My head doesn't.
viruses, pollen, all these things will pass right through a HEPA filter. And in that air scrubber comparison, that fan motor is just going to keep recirculating that dirty, bad air with all those harmful things that are smaller than 0.3 microns. Our ionizers take a different approach. If it's 0.1 microns or bigger, it's going to fall down to the ground. So that's why we say we kill 99.4% of corona. There's some really, really fine stuff out there that
awesome.